On March 11, 2023, I shared a series of 3 dreams God had given me on December 28, 2023. Now, I believe that these dreams were all in relation to the end times, and God had given a direct understanding in regards to the first and the third dream. However, with the second dream, I had not received the full interpretation. And so while I'd shared the dreams already via TikTok Live, I was a little reluctant in sharing all 3 of those dreams because of the fact that I had not yet received that full interpretation for the second dream. But God made it very clear that I need to share the dream and I need to share it as soon as possible. And so I did so in obedience. When I shared the second dream, I kindly asked brothers and sisters to take this dream up to the Lord in prayer for the interpretation because I had not yet received the full interpretation. And so I'm just going to recap so you can watch that video right now. This is the second dream. I was walking through the streets of a city and they were hauling out dead people in body bags. It stunk. There was a slow procession of women. They looked to be East Asian, Indian, and I was impatient to get around them, so I climbed over a railing onto the sidewalk. When I got to the other side, I could see the street properly, and I saw a huge palace that looked very colorful, pastel pink, white, yellow, and baby blue. In the street, there was regular traffic and also a large fancy white car that had a logo and colors that corresponded to the palace. As I walked, I knew I was in France, and I could sense this was Versailles. A man came out walking poodles whose fur had been dyed with pastel pink, yellow, and baby blue. With that dream, I ask you to take it to the Lord in prayer for understanding because I've been praying over this dream for months and I haven't gotten any further revelation. And so I'm trusting that God will use his children with the gift of dream interpretation to provide the interpretation for the colors and the understanding of that dream in addition to, of course. Now, there were brethren who were actually very clear and they realized that the colors I'd seen on the other side were reminiscent of Easter. And so they said that this seems to be around the time of Easter. And I made a mental note of that. Fast forward to April 2023, I took a hiatus off of TikTok to focus on my in-person ministry and making sure all of that was squared away, as well as catching up on my personal scriptural readings. During this time, it was around April 10th or 11th, and I recalled the comments that the brothers and sisters had given me in relation to Easter. And so because God made it abundantly clear that this was in France, I knew it was a building collapse. It seemed like a possible building collapse. I merely Google searched building collapse France, and there it was. On Sunday, April 9th, which the world celebrated as Easter, there was a building collapse in France. On the dream, the side I'd climbed over to made it clear that I was in France, and I saw that I was in Versailles. I also indicated that it was very clear that through this, that I was in 2 different places. It was night and day. And so the building collapse happened in a place called Marseille, which is on a completely opposite side of France than Versailles, about 7 to 8 hours drive away. I have not seen the demographic of individuals who were harmed in the building collapse. I'm not sure what the cause of the building collapse was, but I do know that I haven't quite seen the fulfillment of the women that I'd seen in the procession, and because there was a very clear indication as to their skin color, their skin type. And so I'm not sure if this is something as to the victims or the victims' families, or if something happened that then caused that building collapse, because I saw a ceremonial procession happening. Another thing I want to note is in this dream, I titled it Mass Deaths because I saw many bodies being hauled out of the building, and many of us also joined up in prayer in order to lift this matter up to God. And while I know and believe that many more people should have perished in this building collapse, the total amount that should have perished did not perish because of intercessory. There are some things that must happen, but there are other things that can either be prevented, slowed down, or minimized when we pray in intercession. I'm sure there are people who will be wondering, why didn't God just make it very clear to you that on April 9, 2023, a building collapse will happen in Marseille? I don't know. I don't know why God didn't show it to me directly. I don't know why he didn't show things directly to Daniel or Ezekiel or even Nebuchadnezzar or even Pharaoh of Egypt. God has his way of doing things, and sometimes he is very direct, and other times he uses symbols. And I want to say one last thing and make this abundantly clear. Me sharing this prophecy fulfilled is not a sort of flex. It's not a gotcha moment. I am not rejoicing in any way because lives were lost. People with stories, people who I'm not sure were saved or not, died in this building collapse. However, it is very clear that God allowed me to see something so much so closer than what I'm used to seeing, because the fact of the matter is that there may be individuals who hear or listen to me and do not believe that what I am receiving truly comes from God, and many of the things that I have shared will in fact come to pass. I pray that you all begin to take these messages very seriously and begin to build up your walk with God. This is not a joke. We are in the last days. We are in the end times. And if you have not built your house on a solid foundation, it will crumble. If you have not built up your faith, if you have not built up a relationship with God, if you're still following after idols, if you are still following after false teachers, you will find yourself ensnared in these last days. I pray that you all are blessed. Have a wonderful day.